The anime starts with Ogawa, a 28-year-old bookstore clerk who is still a virgin. She works alongside Ren, a co-worker who constantly teases her about how beautiful she is, despite her age. When Ren notices she looks sleepy, he asks if she stayed up all night writing again. However, she denies it, explaining that she was actually reading stories on an occult forum. Ogawa is deeply obsessed with the occult, much to Ren's confusion. He can't understand why someone her age finds such things entertaining, which makes Ogawa angry. She snaps back, saying he has no right to judge her when he also enjoys reading the same stuff. Their manager then approaches Ogawa, hands her a book, and explains that it was reverse shoplifted. Unlike regular shoplifting, reverse shoplifting is when someone leaves an extra item behind instead of stealing one. Ogawa doesn't understand why someone would do something like reverse shoplifting. The manager then explains that they could usually just leave the book there, but since it's her birthday, she can keep it. Later, in the locker room, Ren asks Ogawa why she didn't tell him it was her birthday. He says that if she had, he would have gotten her a gift. Ogawa smiles and replies that the best gift he could give her would be to leave her alone. Ren laughs and asks how her new novel is coming along, admitting that, despite how it may seem, he's a fan of her work. Ogawa sighs and tells him she hasn't been able to write much lately. When Ogawa got home, she did her usual routine, waiting for midnight to congratulate herself with a happy birthday. Ogawa remembers when she was younger, she could write anything. Everyone praised her for her talent, and she even won a newcomer's award. But now, she feels like she's nothing special, just an ordinary person, and wishes she could go back to how she was back then. As she thinks about this, her bag suddenly falls, causing the book the manager gave her to slip out. Ogawa finds the letter in the book strange. It looks like Japanese, but it's slightly different. However, there are some key words she recognizes. She reads one of the poems in the book out loud, then decides to go to the nearby convenience store to buy a cake for herself. At the same time, Ren sends her a message wishing her a happy birthday, hoping she becomes an even more attractive older woman. Naturally, this doesn't make Ogawa happy. She calls Ren a youngster, reminding him that age comes for everyone equally. Ren smiles, thinking to himself that he's far from being called a youngster. While looking for the cake, Ogawa suddenly feels her body change and, to her surprise, she transforms into her younger, childlike self. Unsure of what to do, Ogawa quickly leaves the store. The next day, she doesn't show up for work, causing her manager to worry. He tries calling her, but she doesn't answer the phone. Concerned, he plans to go to her apartment to check on her. However, Ren makes an excuse on her behalf, telling the manager that Ogawa isn't feeling well. He claims she's so severely constipated that her entire body is stuffed full of poop and that the doctor said it's life-threateningly serious, so she's staying home to recover. The manager, now hesitant to visit, asks Ren to tell Ogawa to take care of herself. Ren tries messaging Ogawa, asking what's going on, but she responds by telling him to stop bothering her and that she doesn't know who he is. Although Ren finds her reply strange, he doesn't think much of it at the time. A week passes, and Ogawa still hasn't returned to work. Concerned, Ren decides to visit her apartment to check on her. However, he can't find her anywhere. While looking around her room, he notices the book the manager had given her. With a sniff, Ren immediately senses that something is wrong with the book. Meanwhile, Ogawa wanders through the alley, searching for inspiration and materials for her new novel. She feels that being a child again is a blessing, as ideas keep flowing effortlessly, allowing her to write freely. As she decides to head home, her ear suddenly starts bleeding, and she forgets which way her home is. Luckily, Ren finds her and asks if she's lost. Ogawa tries to deny it, but when she attempts to remember, her head suddenly begins to hurt. Ren calmly explains that her reaction is natural because she hasn't truly become young again. Instead, her body has been forcibly reverted to a child's form. The excess blood, muscle, and bone she had left over after shrinking are still within her body right now. Ogawa then asks Ren why isn't he surprised by how she looks. Ren then smiles and asks her if she read this book. It is a cursed book that mustn't be read aloud. Ogawa doesn't want to believe that reading the book caused her to become younger, but as she looks at herself, she can't deny the truth. Ren then warns her that her life is now at risk. He explains that in this world, there are poems with unknown authors, some of which were written by entities that can't be considered human. These poems hold mysterious powers, such as reviving the dead, manipulating emotions, or even restoring a person's youth, and that's just to name a few of them. Ren tells Ogawa that the poem she read is about a nobleman wishing for a lady's youth to return. This poem reveals its true power only when specific conditions are met, as the spell is said to activate very rarely. The conditions are as follows. First, it must be read around midnight. Second, it should be done under the light of the moon. Third, the reader must be at least 28 years old. And lastly, the reader must be a virgin maiden. Hearing this made Ogawa feel embarrassed. Just then, Ogawa coughed up blood. Ren told her she was on the verge of death and that moonlight was necessary for her to recover. They quickly went to a place where they could see the moon. Ren handed her a book, pointed to one of the poems, and told her to read it aloud. Ogawa followed his instructions, and her body suddenly returned to normal. However, since she wasn't wearing any pants, she asked Ren if he had something she could use to cover herself. Ren told her to give him the book, promising to dispose of it properly, while searching his bag for something to cover her up. But, when he turned back, she was already gone. Ogawa didn't want to give the book back, she still wanted to use it. When Ren tried to stop her, she used the book to turn young again and managed to evade him. Ren was furious that Ogawa so casually used the book as she pleased. Meanwhile, Ogawa found it strange how Ren kept showing up in front of her. After running for a while, Ogawa finally grew exhausted. She admitted to Ren that she needed the book, explaining her fears. If she wasn't young, no one would read her books. She confessed that she had realized she lacked talent. She would write and rewrite her work, only to be told it wasn't good enough. But despite all that, she still wanted to write. Ren encouraged her, saying she could still write and that he was a fan of her work. Moved by his words, Ogawa decided to return to her normal self and handed the book over to him. Later, Ren took the book to meet with a mysterious person. They told him the book could be exchanged for one ticket to Yami Station. However, Ren refused, deciding to hold on to the book. If you come this far, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos like this. Thank